This is an important interconference game this afternoon. Working with me is a man who someday should be in the Hall of Fame in pro football, Paul Warfield, a great wide receiver, who right now is the assistant director of pro personnel for the Browns. You work for the Browns, but your job is to know talent around the league, Paul.
That's right. This Green Bay Packer football team is a good one. They've got Lynn Dickey, who's really over his physical problems and doing a great job. And also the Packers, I think, adjusting to their new 34 defense.
What about the Browns defense? They've come on.
Well, they really have come on. They're not really stopping people cold, but they're keeping people off the scoreboard, and that's important.
You know, one of the big questions for the Browns this week, who would play quarterback? Brian Sipe was hurt last week in Seattle, so Sam Rutigliano has had to make a decision. Go with Sipe, who may not be 100%, or rookie Paul McDonald for USC. He's made his decision. He told us about it just a short while ago.
Well, Dick, it's been a difficult problem for us all week because Brian obviously didn't work out Wednesday and Thursday, and Friday we had a torrential downpour, so he didn't get a chance to work. He worked yesterday, and he felt real good about it, and this morning I caucused with our doctors and Brian. He felt real good, and right now after the pregame warm-up, I think Brian Sipe is going to be our starter.
And so we're ready for the kickoff. Tom Burney will kick off for the Green Bay Packers. The deep men, Keith Wright, number 89, and Dino Hall, number 26. Diminutive Dino Hall at 5'7". The Packers in their green, the Browns in white, and we're underway on an overcast afternoon in Cleveland with the lights turned on here in the stadium. Dino Hall carries, and Hall finds his way past the 25-yard line, almost to the 30, and the stop is made by Mike McCoy. So the Browns are on offense, and Brian Sipe, indeed, is the quarterback, number 17. He is third in the AFC. He has thrown 10 touchdown passes. Running backs are Mike Pruitt, number 43, and Charles White, 25. A very fine offensive line for the Browns. They've allowed only 4 quarterback sacks all season, an NFL high. The backs and receivers, and they have tremendous firepower. First and 10 on the 35-yard line. They get the 27-yard line. And Sipe gives to the second back through Pruitt, who broke a tackle, and Mike Pruitt gets up to the 35, short of a first down. The tackle made by Ezra Johnson, number 90, the right defensive end. Well, they like to establish the running game, Paul, and that's what the Browns are trying to do here.
Well, the offense works a lot better when Mike Pruitt is running real well. And last week, Mike ran over 100 yards for the first time in the season against Seattle. Passing game fell into hand, and so what the Browns want to do is try to coordinate both the running and the passing game. You won't see Brian Sipe sit on it.
Second and 3 at the 35-yard line. In motion comes Reggie Rucker out of the I formation. Charles White does not get but a yard or two, maybe to the 37. Ed O'Neill, the linebacker, makes the stop. Charles White from USC has had a bit of a problem adjusting to the pro style after playing out of the I at USC. As you look at the Packers' 3-4 defense, and their linebackers, particularly Mike Douglas, number 53, has been outstanding. The secondary, and they've been playing together for a couple of years. Estes Hood, of course, took over for Willie Buchanan last year. And now the Browns, on 3rd and 1, have 2 tight ends, Ozzie Newsome and number 84, McDonald Oden, a free agent rookie. 3rd and 1 at the 37. Pruitt going wide. And a tremendous play by number 21, Mike Jolly, and Johnny Gray combining to make the stop, and good forcing from the secondary for the Packers.
Well, that's the thing that you have to have on short yardage defensive play. Mike Jolly came up from his safety position. He's a hard-hitting kid from the University of Michigan. Did a very fine job of stopping a tough running back in Mike Pruitt.
So Johnny Evans, who has not pleased the Browns, he's been a great practice kicker, and you can see Mike Cassidy is deep at the 25-yard line. Evans has been terrific in practice, but when the games start, not too good. But he gets off a pretty good punt there, and Cassidy is back at the 21 after a bobble and is hemmed in. So you got to credit the Green Bay Packers defense as Dino Hall on special teams makes the stop. 48-yard kick, no return. And coaches drool over that, Paul. And now the Packers go on offense.
As you said, Dick, Johnny Evans hasn't been kicking very well, but that time he got off a fine punt, good hang time, good coverage by the Browns. By the Browns specialty teams.
Lynn Dickey, number 12, is the quarterback. 418 yards last week passing, completed 35. There's the offensive line. Larry McCarron in his 8th year is the senior member there. First and 10 at the 25 will run down the rest of the Packers offense for you after this play. Under Thompson in motion, number 89. Eddie Lee Ivory gets about a yard. Ivory teams with Jerry Ellis, number 31 in the backfield. Thompson, number 89, has James Lofton, number 80, with him, and Lofton is something to see, as well as Ivory. Eddie Lee Ivory had a tremendous first quarter in his rookie year against the Chicago Bears. As you look at the backs and receivers, was hurt, had a banged up knee, and had a tremendous week last week, 202 total yards. There's Dickey's numbers so far. 2nd and 9 at the 26. John Thompson, number 83, is in as a third wide receiver, and Jerry Ellis, a little second effort to the 31. It'll be 3rd and about 4 with Marshall Harris, number 90, making the stop, and it could be a passing situation for Green Bay now. Let's run down the Browns defensively for you. They have gone to the 3-4 this year. They tried it out a bit last season, but this is their 3-4, and great stories. Alzado, of course, is the stabilizer, but Henry Bradley and Marshall Harris are young ones, and they also have some others behind them. The 4 linebackers. Robert L. Jackson is not in there, and Elvis Franks becomes a 4th down lineman as you look at the secondary for Cleveland. 3rd and 4 at the 31. Ellis and Middleton, number 34, in the backfield. Now Eddie Lee Ivory checks back in, and on a draw, Ellis has a first down for the Packers to the 41-yard line.
Fine call by Lynn Dickey, drawing the defensive team of the Browns in. There's a good block provided there by number 69, Leotis Harris, that springs Ellis into the secondary. Tom Darden has to come up from his safety position. That's a big back, and he doesn't like to make too many tackles like that in the open field.
So the free agent rookie Ellis, who was a final cut by the Rams and has been a starter since the LA game for the Packers, has a first down at the 42. In motion is the tight end Paul Coffey. And Eddie Lee Ivory trying to go wide. He has Darrell Goforth blocking for him, but the Browns come up and limit it to maybe a gain of a yard or 2. And a good play by Dick Ambrose, number 52, and he always seems to be in the right place at the right time, Paul.
Well, Dick Ambrose has led the Browns in tackles for the last couple of years. He's a very active linebacker, flows well laterally across the line of scrimmage, and he's going to be around the ball all afternoon.
Just under 5 minutes gone by here in the first quarter. No score here at Cleveland Stadium. This is the first time the Packers have played in Cleveland since 1972. They won that game and went on to finish 10-4, winning the NFC Central. 2nd and 9. Kaufman again in motion. Dickey finds Lofton, and Lofton has a first down at the 45-yard line of the Browns. And Clinton Burrell, second year from LSU, made the stop, and this is a Paul Warfield kind of pattern.
Well, James Lofton is a very fine receiver. Lynn Dickey throwing the straight out. Dickey has an excellent arm. Lofton, a guy that you've got to give a lot of room. Clint Burrell respecting that speed.
And he's getting that protection up front, Paul.
And Lyle Alzado finding it very difficult to get there. He's still fighting, though. He'll be fighting all afternoon.
Packers controlling the ball as they did against Tampa Bay, though they managed at best to tie. 1st and 10 at the Browns 45. The pitch to Jerry Ellis. He's hemmed in and thrown for a 3 or 4 yard loss. And forcing the play was Marshall Harris, along with the nose tackle Henry Bradley. Interesting story about number 90, Marshall Harris. He was an 8th round draft choice by the Jets. Walked out of camp because he wanted to pursue an art career. Then the Jets didn't want him when he wanted to come back. The Browns welcome him with open arms.
Kind of 2 interesting stories there. Henry Bradley was on the Browns roster last year. He was cut from the squad, stuck around town, driving a truck to sort of eke out a living, was called back to the team late last year. This year, he won a job as the nose tackle.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12 at the 47. Kaufman in motion, a fake draw, and a trick play, and a good catch by Jerry Ellis. Ellis is tackled after picking up about 8 yards. Robert L. Jackson, number 56, the left inside linebacker, makes the play. As you look at Lynn Dickey, who is out almost 2 years with a broken leg, and his comeback is terrific, and Bart Starr has had confidence in him all along, apparently.
He's throwing the ball right now for about 70% of his passes completed, and Dickey's doing a fine job. That time he set up a fake screen to the left, double screen to the right, almost broke all the way. Dick Ambrose slowed him up a little bit.
5 defensive backs for the Browns. Ron Cassidy, number 88, comes in as a 3rd wide receiver for the Packers on a 3rd and 7 at the 42 of Cleveland. Here's a rush. They've got him. They blitz. The Browns blitzing linebackers. Dumps Lynn Dickey back to midfield, and all of them came in. Henry Bradley might get credit for that sack, and it'll be fourth in a punting situation.
Well, a gambling situation here, but that time it played off. They're running an X on the inside.
So fourth down, and David Beverly will kick from his 35, and Keith Wright, number 89. Beverly, who is a 7-year veteran, originally a free agent pick. He had his best year last season, and there is Keith Wright, who has tremendous instincts in running back kicks, Paul.
Great feel for returning kicks. Not the fastest guy in the world, but somehow, some way, he makes things happen.
Wright at the sideline, can't turn it in, and he's forced out of bounds. Jim Gano is chasing him along with Paul Kaufman. Dick Stockton and Paul Warfield here. First quarter, overcast but pleasant in Cleveland. Brian Sipe has the Browns at the 19, first and 10. Sipe going to the air. He won't look for Logan, can't find him, and dumps it off to Mike Pruitt. And Pruitt is down at the 28-yard line after an 8-yard pickup. John Anderson, the left outside linebacker, makes the stop on Pruitt, who perhaps is not as good a receiver as he is a runner.
Well, you're absolutely right. He's a better runner, a big, powerful guy. Kind of short and stocky, though, and he's sort of a load once he gets going.
He's got shorter fingers, and that, I think, can hurt him as far as pass receiver.
Well, he's worked real hard on his catching ability and has improved, but he's not the kind of receiver that Charles White or Greg Pruitt is.
White now is the tail back in the eye. It is 2nd and 1 at the 28, and it's Charles White up the middle. Has a first down beyond the 30. Kurt Allerman and Ed O'Neill combined to make the stop. The Packers, of course, added 2 veterans, Allerman and O'Neill. Both, of course, played at Penn State. Allerman had played with the Cardinals, O'Neill with the Detroit Lions. And the rookie from USC has given the Browns a first down at the 31.
Well, Charles White has stepped into that spot where Greg Pruitt played in previous years. Pruitt slow coming back from the knee injury. White has done a pretty good job thus far, and each ball game that passes along, he's improving much more.
Reggie Rucker, number 33, wide to the right. Logan, 85, to the left. The rush is on Sipe, and he won't get away. So for a club that has allowed only 4 quarterback sacks, the Green Bay Packers have impressed here, and they had everyone coming in, including strong safety Steve Luke, who ultimately made the tackle.
Well, this is what you got to do against Brian Sipe. You know that he doesn't have the mobility today, and the Packers are coming after him early. There's number 46, Steve Luke, coming up from his strong safety position, and a lot of other Packers. Luke finally comes down with the Sipe and does a good job of bringing him down.
Don't forget, the Browns know that they have the Steelers coming in next week and a chance to tie for the division with a win, and Sipe not 100% getting the call. 2nd and 17 at the 24. Mike Pruitt off tackle to the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 13, and Mike Lewis, who's playing nose tackle, makes the stop. You talk to John Meyer, the Green Bay Packers defensive guru, and everything in this game, as you remember, is down and distance. You know, if you have 2nd and 1, you have things going your way. 2nd and 17, different story.
Absolutely right. Brian has not enjoyed great field position. The least thing that he wants to do right now, I think, is create a turnover.
Time really flying in this first quarter. We have 5:05 remaining, no score, and a 3rd and 14 for Brian Sipe. He's got some protection, and Sipe is looking for number 82, Ozzie Newsome, the tight end. And Newsome, who could just as easily be a wide receiver at 6'2", 232 in great speed, has the reception and a first down. Johnny Gray makes the stop, and he had time, Paul.
Precisely. Brian had the time to do what he wanted to do, go to Ozzie Newsome running the corner. Ozzie gives another dimension to the Browns' offensive attack.
On this 23-yard pickup, look at the offensive line protection. Tom DeLeon, the center. Joe DeLamielleure, an all-pro, has established himself on this Brown offensive line. 1st and 10 at the Green Bay 49. Ricky Feature, 83, has replaced Dave Logan at wide receiver for Cleveland. Sipe again in the pocket, going for Rucker, overthrows him. Rucker was banged up a bit, had muscle spasms in his back during the week, but he said he was all right. Incompletion, 2nd and 10 at the 49.
Rucker did not work out all week, but he seemed to be ready. He's the kind of player, he's a veteran player, he's been through a lot, so you expect him to be ready on Sunday. That time, the Packers sent Steve Luke again on the blitz, and so they're showing you that they're coming after Brian early in the ball game, and they're going to try to disrupt his rhythm.
So Brian Sipe, 28 touchdown passes last year, 3,700 yards. Hurt his knee on a freak play with 3 minutes to go last week. Dave Logan back in wide receiver, and Sipe almost tripped going back. And he's got time, not much, as he dumps it off. And no penalty marker thrown as Ezra Johnson, number 90, first-round draft pick in his 4th year from Morris Brown, finally got to Brian.
Well, that time Brian looked like he was looking downfield for Ozzie Newsome. The linemen were dropping back. Newsome was jammed inside, fell to the ground, did not get out into the pattern. Brian was left holding the football, didn't have the good mobility he's had in the past, and so he was thrown for the sack.
Sipe is now 2 for 4 for 32 yards. It'll be 3rd and 10 at the Packer 49. Charles White has Delamolier blocking, but forcing the play. Coming up from the secondary is Steve Luke, and Green Bay's secondary has been exemplary so far.
Well, they're a good, hard-hitting group with Steve Luke back there at the strong safety. Also, Johnny Gray, number 24. They call them the Hit Brothers back there, and I guess they do a fine job of supporting on the runs, and Steve Luke showed you why just on that play.
Johnny Evans will punt. He can also play quarterback, and one of the things that rankles him, he wishes he could play quarterback a little bit, not on this club, as you saw Cassidy standing at the 12-yard line. A line drive end-over-end kick, and Cassidy's just going to let it drop. It takes a Cleveland roll inside the 20-yard line. So neither club has threatened thus far. With 3 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first quarter, it was a 34-yard punt and no return. Miami's leading Buffalo 7-0, and Washington over St. Louis 7-0. First quarter scores around the NFL. The Packers at the 17, 1st and 10, with 3:50 remaining in the first quarter here in Cleveland. Paul Kaufman is in motion, and the give is to Jerry Ellis, and Ellis was first tripped up by Clay Matthews, number 57. Matthews, a finesse linebacker from USC, a number 1 draft choice. The 3-4 defense, Marty Schottenheimer's done a fine job for the Browns, and they went to the 3-4 not for the running plays, but for the pass plays on the idea of blitzing more.
Idea of blitzing more, but also to give Robert L. Jackson, who was number 1 choice a few years back, a chance to play. Outstanding player.
Good. 2nd and 7 at the 20. John Thompson, 83, a 3rd wide receiver, and this time the catch is made by Andre Thompson. At open field for Thompson, and they catch up with him at the 39-yard line of Cleveland. So the short pass, which has been the one thing the Browns have not been able to stop too well this year, and Dickey with the quick release found Andre Thompson, who caught 7 last week, and a big gainer into Cleveland territory.
Well, Dickey's looking all the way for Andre Thompson. He gets by the linebacker, Dick Ambrose, there, and watch him do a nifty bit of running as he turns Ron Bolton completely around. Thompson, a fine running back out of college, makes a big gainer before Tom Darden and his friends stop him.
Well, he was originally a running back, and a 43-yard gain, and the Packers, with the big play so far, have a 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line of the Browns. Play action for Dickey, and Dickey going. It was intended for Lofton, and it's picked off. Tom Darden. And just a plain old bad pass, and maybe they got the route mixed up because Lofton was open, and it was thrown way past him. And the interception by Tom Darden.
Well, Dickey takes this play action pass. He's looking for Lofton all the way, but he throws more of a post, and Lofton runs a square in. Tom Darden is sitting right back on the post, reading that action all the way.
First and 10 now, the Browns at the 33-yard line. 2:18 remaining in the first quarter as Reggie Rucker comes in motion. No score. Mike Pruitt tries to go up the middle and hits a stone wall. That interception by Tom Darden was his first of the year, but more significantly, it is his 41st, and he has now set a Cleveland Browns record for career interceptions, and he was tied with the late Warren Lahr with 40 before he picked that one off.
Tom Darden has really done an outstanding job in the secondary. He's a real ball hawk. You usually see him right around the ball. He plays the quarterback's eyes very well.
Gain of 1, 2nd and 9 at the 34. The Packers have played superbly on defense thus far. No score, 1:40 remaining in the first quarter. Sipe on a play action, and he freezes the backers long enough to complete a pass to Mike Pruitt, and a first down short of midfield. Mike Douglas, the linebacker, defending. It's tough to defend against Pruitt.
Well, it's kind of tough to defend against him, not because he's such a great pass receiver, but simply because he's got great speed and deceptive speed. He's a big-looking guy, but he's got 4.5 speed for the 40, and he can get out in the flats real well. That's Mike Douglas, number 53, fine linebacker, riding him out of bounds.
How's Greg Pruitt's situation?
Well, Greg Pruitt is being used in spot situations. He is not completely recovered from that knee injury, but we'll see him during the course of the afternoon, I'm sure.
The Browns have the ball at their own 48, 1st and 10. And the pitch goes to Charles White, and White, and a second effort to the 47-yard line. A good 5 or 6 yard gain.
The big thing that Charles White has added to this attack is not only has he come and he started as a rookie player, but he's proven to be quite adept at coming out of the backfield and catching passes, and seems to have a knack for making the first tackler miss him all the time.
We have 1 minute remaining, first quarter, no score, and Reggie Rucker, as you look at Charles White in the tailback spot, both Rucker and Logan are split to the left. 2nd and 4. Up the middle, Pruitt fumble, and Sipe might have gotten to it, and he did. Brian Sipe just got there before 3 green shirts were ready to pounce on the ball.
That takes a little bit of courage, because there's some awfully big guys in that Green Bay center of the line.
The Browns at the Packers 48, make it 3rd and 5. Sipe. Complete to Ozzie Newsome. An 8-second show. Newsome has a first down. And the Browns maintain possession as Johnny Gray, the free safety, who started the very first game of his rookie year. And Ozzie Newsome, as we mentioned, could be a flanker, good wide receiver threat, makes that play, and it's a first down at the 41. Washington now leading the Cardinals 10-0 in the first quarter. Mark Mosley, a 30-yard field goal. Redskins have had their troubles thus far. 1st and 10 at the 41. Rucker comes toward the line. Is Charles White. Hits a stone wall, picks up 2 yards. Ed O'Neill was there and a few of his friends, and that'll do it for the first quarter. So they've gone back and forth, and both teams' defenses have played well. Beleaguered Bart Starr on the left, the Packers coach, who breathing a bit easier these days, and Sam Rutigliano, whose greatest asset is the fact that he's low-key. He doesn't go too high or too low, keeps an even keel, and that's important in the game. You know that.
Very important for a coach to be the same kind of individual week in and week out. That is exactly the way Sam is. He's not given to high-strung moments or low periods.
Greg Pruitt, number 34, is teamed with Mike, number 43, in the backfield as Logan goes wide right. 2nd and 8 at the 39. We start the second quarter. Brian Sipe looking down, has some time. Sipe is going for Ozzie Newsome, who makes a terrific catch. And now they say he did not have control. Ozzie Newsome did not hold on to it when he came down, and it'll be an interception as Steve Luke and Johnny Gray were covering on the play.
Well, Sipe wants to go for it all right here, and he's looking for Ozzie Newsome. He looks off to the right, throws to Ozzie, almost makes the great catch. Here Ozzie has it. As you see him hit, he sort of loses it right at that point on the ground.
And you got to come down with it. That's the rule. It's not so much holding it in the air. When you come down, you better have it in possession. He did not. So it's incomplete, 3rd and 8. Dick Stockton and Paul Warfield in a scoreless battle here on the shores of Lake Erie, Cleveland Stadium, with upwards of 70,000 fans. 3rd and 8 now at the 39 for the Browns. We have not come close to a score in this one. Sipe getting pressure, trying to move away, and he's going to run for it. He'll have a first down, and if he's smart, will go out of bounds. But no, he's tackled inside the 20. Brian Sipe, showing no ill effects of that knee sprain, has run for the first down before Mike Douglas caught up with him. A play of 24 yards, and now the Browns have the best scoring opportunity.
Well, here's where Sipe's really dangerous. He's got a feel for what's happening in the pocket. He slides up. He looks downfield. At this point, he's still a threat to throw, but he's going on the run all the way. He's got Joe DeLamalure, not a bad fellow to have out in front of him, and picks up a couple of extra yards.
And Sam Rutigliano on the sideline, and he's saying, I picked this guy over McDonald today, and he was holding his breath. 1st and 10 at the 15. And it's Mike Pruitt. Make it Greg Pruitt, sorry. And he's thrown for a loss. Couldn't get outside, and credit the Packers defense. Linebacker John Anderson. Loss of 2, 2nd and 12 at the 17. Ricky Feature, number 83, in at wide receiver. Logan gets a rest. Sipe on a draw play, and a great play by Mike Butler, number 77, as he put the hug on Mike Pruitt right away. Mike Butler, starter since the opening game of his rookie year, just shut that running play off.
All right, here's a ground level shot. Smart call by Brian Sipe. Fools everybody except number 77, Mike Butler, who does an excellent job and goes solo on that particular tackle. Mike Butler, big man, has 4 sacks on the year, doing a fine job on the defensive front for Green Bay.
Had a great year in '78 with 12 sacks. He's got good strength and quickness. A big showdown in the NFC East. Dallas leading Philadelphia 7-0. 3rd and 13 on the 18-yard line, and a penalty marker is down. Penalty marker down, and now we have some tempers flaring. Tom DeLeon just took a shot, I think, from Ed O'Neill.
Right, he did.
DeLeon and O'Neill. Let's pick it up.
63, false start offense.
Cody Risen called for a false start on offense. Gene Barth, the referee. So that will set him back now. Let's see if we can pick it up at the line. Look for Risen, number 63. Let's see.
Well, we see that Tom DeLeon, 54, fires a little shove, and
Mike Lewis,
number 66. That kind of extracurricular activity could get either side penalized.
3rd and 18 at the 23-yard line. Third and 18. Brian Sipe has time. He's going for Logan, and it's incomplete, out of bounds. There was jockeying there between Mike McCoy and Dave Logan, and the official was right there with it. It'll go as incomplete, and now Don Cockcroft will come in the game to attempt a field goal. Another
Sipe
look.
likes to go in this situation to Dave Logan. He's 6'4", big, strong receiver, can go up and get the ball, but that time number 29, Mike McCoy, was right with him step for step, and although a few inches shorter, did just a fine job of shutting Dave Logan off.
The attempt will be from the 31. Let's call it a 40-yard attempt. And Cockcroft is a perfect 2 for 2, though overall this year he's 6 for 10. Don Cockcroft straight down the middle. It's good. So Cockcroft, who has had all sorts of ailments this year, from his back to his hip to his ankle. So Don Cockcroft, who just kicked a 41-yard field goal, is kicking off right now to Mark Lee, a rookie from the University of Washington and a superb returner in college. And Lee, showing some of those moves, brings it out past the 25-yard line. Mark Lee from the University of Washington. Tackle made by Keith Wright for the Browns. So the Packers go on offense after the Browns scored on the field goal, 67 yards in 12 plays. And the drive was nearly 5 minutes in length. And we have a penalty marker down right now, and a penalty apparently against Green Bay. They'll mark it off. That's a tough hole to start out of, Paul.
It is. The Packers have enjoyed pretty much good field position here in the first half. This time they'll be backed up inside their 10-yard line.
Personal foul, clipping on the run back, number 53, first down.
It was Mike Douglas who was clipping, and so now the Packers open up back on their 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10. The Browns lead at 3-0. We've just gone through 3 minutes here of this second quarter. Lynn Dickey, 6'4", 10th year, and the give is to Eddie Lee Ivory, who gets past the 10 to about the 13 before Marshall Harris makes the tackle for the white-shirted Cleveland Browns. So there's Eddie Lee Ivory, who was the #1 draft pick last year out of Georgia Tech. Last week, 74 yards rushing against Tampa Bay, and he caught 11 passes for 128 yards, his best day as a pro. He'll have more.
Certainly will. He's good looking back, great speed. Had the knee injury last year, as you said, Dick, but it seems like he's fully recovered. For the first time last week, he said like things were really starting to come together. 2nd
and 7 at the 13. Undra Thompson, 89, and Lofton, 80 are wide right, and now Lofton goes in motion. He has time, and Lofton holds on to it, penalty marker down as he makes the reception at the 18-yard line, but the flag is down. Clarence Scott, number 22, converted cornerback, now playing strong safety, was covering Lofton on the play. And we have defensive holding against the Browns. That'll be an automatic first down for the Packers.
Officials talking it over with Lynn Dickey. That time the Packers sent James Lofton in motion from right to left. It's a good way to get him isolated and get a man-for-man coverage from the Cleveland Browns. You can bet your bottom dollar that the Browns will be giving Lofton a lot of attention this afternoon, and certainly he merits it.
Number 56 defense, first down.
Robert L. Jackson, the linebacker, was called holding downfield. It'll be a 1st and 10 now for the Packers at the 18. And you have to say one thing, Green Bay had all those problems, and people said they're the worst team in the NFL, and they are certainly not that at 2-3-1 coming into this game, trailing here 3-0. Kaufman, the tight end, in motion. Play action pass, swings it around to Eddie Lee. Eddie Lee cuts into the 25, and Ivory has a first down. It was Robert L. Jackson who makes the stop, and you saw a little bit of Eddie Lee Ivory cutting in some of the great moves he showed. Watch Jackson's pursuit.
Robert Jackson, he's coming onto his own in the 34, pursuing well laterally across the field. He's been a big hitter for the Browns all year. Eddie Lee Ivory got a good block from Leotis Harris on cornerback Ron Bolton on that play to spring him inside before Robert Jackson made the hit.
Under Thompson wide right as you look at Dickey coming up to the line. He came over to the Packers from the Houston Oilers in 1976 in a trade. Ivory again up the middle, gets perhaps a couple. The New York Jets against the Seattle Seahawks in a game at Shea Stadium in New York this afternoon. Seattle leading at 3-0. The Packers with 569 yards against Tampa Bay was the most they've picked up since they chalked up amazing 628 against the Eagles back in '62, 32 first downs. So they're moving the ball, but the question is they're not getting the points.
That's right. They're doing what old Green Bay teams have done in the past, that is ball control, but you're right, Dick, they've got to put points on the scoreboard.
Lofton in motion, 2nd and 8 at the 32. Dickey has the time. Ellis drops it finally. Jerry Ellis. And that was a tough play all the way around. He kind of tried to just dump it off and over a defender.
Well, Dickey looked like he was going for Lofton again, who had started in motion from left to right going across the screen. Couldn't quite find Lofton. There's Lofton. He's going to cut into the sidelines. Does not have very much room to work with. Ron Bolton moving up on him. Dickey pulls up, drops the ball to number 31, Gary Ellis, and saves possibly another interception.
3 wide receivers for the Packers as Cassidy, number 88, comes in, and 4 down linemen for the Browns who show blitz. And they don't. And Eddie Lee Ivory is piled at the line of scrimmage. And a great play by Henry Bradley, the nose tackle. As you mentioned, Bradley, who drove a truck after he was cut, hung in there and finally came back to show what he could do. Look at this play.
Well, he's doing a little bit of truck driving right there on a pretty good back and makes a big play for the Browns as they stop the Packers in this situation.
Henry Bradley, the nose tackle. And now you're looking deep as Keith Wright for the Browns at the 30-yard line. Dave Beverly will punt for the Packers. Dickey now is 4 for 6 for 72 yards and 1 interception. Back at the 26. Still on his feet. And finally brought down by number 62, Buddy Adelette from the University of Alabama. We have 9 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the first half. The Browns lead at 3-0 on Cockrock's 41-yard field goal early in the second quarter. Dick Stockton with Paul Warfield, who's a magician on this very turf for the Cleveland Browns for many years and then later with the Dolphins. Mike Pruitt, number 43, and Greg Pruitt, 34, are the setbacks for Cleveland. And it goes to Mike. Barrels up the middle to the 36-yard line. Charles Johnson, the nose tackle, number 99, makes the stop. As you know, the Packers had a problem. They did not sign Bruce Clark, their number 1 draft choice out of Penn State. They wanted him to play nose tackle, and of course, he wasn't happy with that. They had problems with his agent. He went up to play in Canada. And John Meyer, the Packers coaching staff, said you're going to see a little bit of George Cumbie today, who was also taken on the number 1 round. Cumbie from Oklahoma. Fine pass defender and a good man for the Packers for the future. 2nd and 6 at the 37. Sipe deflected and incomplete. Let's see who made the deflection on the pass intended for Ozzie Newsome. John Anderson, the linebacker, got good penetration, and tempers flare up again.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be that kind of afternoon. These two teams haven't played one another in a long time, and it used to be sort of a traditional rivalry when there was the old NFL.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, 99 defense, offsetting fouls.
Charles Johnson and Robert E. Jackson, I believe, have been called for unsportsmanlike conduct, offsetting personal fouls, which is really a message there, I guess, from Gene Barth. Let's have enough of that.
Well, the officials are saying, hey, gentlemen, this thing is not going to get out of hand here today, and so he's setting the tone right now.
It'll be 3rd and 6 at the 37-yard line. The Packers have 5 defensive backs in there now with 2 linebackers. 3rd and 6 for Brian Sipe. Sipe has time, and it's batted up in the air, and I think it might have been Mike Lewis, who came in as a 4th down lineman for the Packers, the 11-year vet from Arkansas A&M, and they've been managing to get a hand on some of Brian Sipe's passes in this series.
Well, Sipe wanted to go underneath in the coverage that time. He was looking for Greg Pruitt, who swung out of the backfield on the right. He hung with Greg all the way, tried to dump the ball to him, could not get it over the outstretched defensive lineman's hands.
Evans doing a little bit better today than he has all season. Will punt from his 20-yard line, and Ron Cassidy will be deep for the Packers at his 30. There's Cassidy. Rush is on, and a good kick by Evans, and the ball takes a Cleveland bounce, and it's going to be inside the 10-yard line where it's down right there. And so Evans is surprising a lot of people this afternoon. A 56-yard punt, and once again the Green Bay Packers have not been able to get good field position today. That's our score with 8 minutes and 16 seconds remaining in the first half, as the Packers now have a new set of backs. Turdell Middleton, number 34, who scored his first touchdown of the year against Tampa Bay last week, and Steve Atkins, number 32, second year from Maryland, in the backfield now. Lynn Dickey on his own 8-yard line, and the call goes to Atkins. He gets a couple, and that's all, before Marshall Harris stops him. Atkins had his best game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and perhaps finally is learning how good he can be. He was switched from halfback to fullback this year.
Fine running back. He's got good speed, big, strong guy, and so it's just a matter of finding yourself, and it takes a little bit of time for young backs to get the feel of running in professional football and following their blockers, and I think that he's starting to come into his own.
Picked up 3, 2nd and 7, the ball at the 11 now. In motion comes Undra Thompson, number 89. Turdell Middleton piled up again, and the Browns are hungry. Charlie Hall, the veteran linebacker in his 10th year, makes the stop on Middleton, who 78 gained over 1,000 yards, and this is an aroused Browns defense, Paul.
Good defense, playing better and more coordinated defense every week. Number 59 there, Charlie Hall, the old pro of the group, has been here for 10 years, plays flow play real well, does a great job.
Elvis Franks, number 94, a 5th-round rookie from Morgan State, comes in as a 4th down lineman as Robert L. Jackson comes out. And the Packers have Thompson wide right, and Lofton way over to the left side. 3rd and 7 at the 11, a running play. Steve Atkins won't go anywhere, and it'll be 4th down, and now the Browns are looking for possible Sterling field position as Atkins has stopped Clinton Burrell coming up from his cornerback position.
Well, defense did the job right there, and the Browns are trying to create some momentum. Sometimes that's what it takes. Good, inspired defensive play that can go in there and stop an offense cold. That time the defense did the job.
Philadelphia on the board, as you saw there. 7-3, Dallas leading, and Dave Beverly will kick from his goal line, and Keith Wright, who has been outstanding as a returner this year, will be at the 45. Buddy Adelette, the rookie from Alabama, on the snap. Good kick by Beverly. Couldn't ask for a better one. And Wright is back inside the 35. He's hemmed in, going nowhere. And once again, the Packers with superb kick coverage. Mike Jolly makes the tackle. And I'll tell you, Dave Beverly got him out of a tough situation right there.
Certainly did. It was a very fine punt.
Back in Cleveland Stadium, the Browns lost their opener to New England, then lost to Houston. Thought they were in trouble, but came back with wins over Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Lost a heartbreaker to Denver here, 1916, before their impressive victory over Seattle. So they're 3-3 on the year, and Brian Sipe, starting out on his 38, has time, and this pass is complete. Calvin Hill in the lineup, number 35, covered by John Anderson. And an interesting story with Calvin Hill, no longer an effective runner, but he finds the opening somehow, some way, and has been outstanding pass receiver.
Certainly does.
We're going to see the blocking here on Johnson. De Leon, the center.
Well, that's Tom De Leon right in there, and he's getting a little help from number 65. Henry Shepard, and when you play the nose, that's what you got to look for. You're going to be double teamed. You're going to be triple teamed at times. People are going to be throwing at your legs. It's just really a tough job to play.
De Leon, Cincinnati, Houston, Atlanta. They didn't want him. In '74, he came to the Browns and has started at center here. 2nd and 8 at the 40, and the pass goes out to Mike Pruitt. Pruitt turning the corner, still on his feet, and he's knocked out of bounds at midfield. A Cleveland first down. Estes Hood, number 38, the left cornerback, finally drove him out, and Pruitt tiptoed down that sideline effectively.
Well, here again, the big man can show you his speed. As Sipe just dumps him a little pass out in the flat, and watch him run to the corner, get by 56 Ed O'Neill, and then levels a nice big blow at number 38, Estes Hood. You know, Estes Hood and a lot of these little guys don't want to get in the way of a big guy like that.
Hood at 5'11", 180, you're right. First down for the Browns at midfield. Brian Sipe, 12 for 24 last week for 211 yards. He is in his 7th year, was a 13th round draft choice. He lost his footing, completes it to Logan, who tries to cut inside. They get to the 45-yard line, a gain of 5 before Hood makes the stop. Sipe looked like he slipped a bit on the setup.
Well, at that spot in the field, the footing is not very good. It's a little bit soft, and so he's going to have to watch what he's doing, and especially in setting up to throw the football right around until they work themselves out of that area right around the 45-yard line. 5
minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the first half. Dave Logan has now caught passes in 31 straight games. The record is 32, held by his teammate Reggie Rucker. 2nd and 4 at the Packers 44 for the Browns. Mike Pruitt slices for maybe a yard, and that's all. They have not burned the Packer defense this afternoon. Ed O'Neill, the linebacker, made the tackle there. Calvin Hill is out, and Charles White checks back in, and a few other people as well. Willis Adams, number 80, who is a #1 draft choice last year for the Browns, has come in, and Cleveland also using 2 tight ends with Ozzie Newsome and McDonald Oden, number 84, a free agent rookie who they're impressed with. So it's 3rd now and 1 at the 41-yard line. Charles White has the first down inside the 40. Good, tough inside runner White has proven to be.
For a little guy, surprisingly, he's proven that he can run the inside traps and run inside of guard and tackle. He's a very durable little player. That's one of the reasons why he was taken on the 1st round by Cleveland, and thus far has proven to be an effective runner.
White comes out, Calvin Hill comes back in. Situation substituting, the new mode in the NFL. 1st and 10 for the Browns at the Packers 39. Score is 3-0 in favor of the Browns. Play action and the rush and a lofted pass, and we're going to have pass interference on the Browns in the pass intended for Calvin Hill. And what made it pass interference is that the defender was waving his arms. If he had not waved his arms, he would not have been called. But that is the criterion on that kind of play. You'll see the defender waving his arms in front of Calvin Hill with the back to the line of scrimmage.
Defensive pass interference, number 56.
Ed O'Neill, the linebacker, and he was waving them.
All right, Calvin Hill, the situation sub, situations pass-wise, he goes in, sight, little pressure. Watch O'Neill's hands come up right there. Calvin, very smart, stops and does not try to go any farther, makes O'Neill run right into him. Very smart play by Calvin Hill.
Sipe got rid of it in a hurry. Mike Douglas was pressuring him, so it's 1st down at the 20-yard line, and Brian's in trouble looking for a receiver. He has a lot of time, and he throws it away, intended for Rucker, but outside of the end zone territory. It'll go incomplete for Brian Sipe. Just at the last minute of that last play did O'Neal put his arms up. If he hadn't, he would not have been called.
That's right. The play that we just saw there with Brian Sipe, the Packers secondary did a remarkable job. When a man has that much time back there in the pocket, can move around, and still they have coverage on the receivers downfield, the guys back in the secondary for Green Bay have got to be doing an excellent job.
It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Browns at the Packers 20-yard line. We have 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the first half. A Cockroft field goal early in this period has been the scoring. 3-0 Browns. Calvin Hill, 35, is back there with Pruitt, 43. Quick toss, and it is Logan, the intended receiver, and he can't hold on to it. Logan was juggling it and defended well by Mark Lee.
All right, from ground level, Brian Sipe, the blitz is on as he throws it up. Number 22, Mark Lee, who's got great speed himself, does a great job of getting up and fighting Dave Logan for the ball. Logan, great hands himself, stays with it until the last possible second, and you can see his frustration right there as he didn't come up with the big TD catch.
And a solid play by Mark Lee, who is a second-round rookie from the University of Washington, a superb athlete for the Huskies. Sipe, 7 for 15, 72 yards. 3rd and 10 now at the 20-yard line. 3 wide receivers in there, and moving first was Dave Logan. And the pass intended for Rucker is complete and out of bounds, but the penalty marker down, and I think Dave Logan moved, but we'll check and see. 3rd and 15 now at the 25, and that'll affect field goal position now as Sipe is back. Pressured, penalty marker down, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Ozzie Newsome, but a penalty marker is down at the 5-yard line. Mike McCoy and Steve Luke defending.
Could get interference call on number 29 because he had his hands on Ozzie Newsome out of the 5-yard zone.
That's it. It would be an illegal chuck if that's what it is, and Mike McCoy would be called for it, and it would give the Browns a much-needed automatic first down. They've got it at the 20.
Illegal contact, 29 defense, first down.
So the Browns in a good spot here. 1st and 10 at the 20. Sipe has time, lofts it over the middle to Newsome. Incomplete, and he tried to make a one-handed catch at the goal line, and he was free. They use him as a wide receiver. He's got that kind of speed.
Well, that time Sipe was trying to hit him down the middle. The Packers going to the zones to the outside. Newsome outstretched trying to reach the ball, just can't quite come up with it.
We told you about George Cumby, the linebacker. We have another penalty marker down. He was defending.
We've got offsetting, continuous action, unsportsmanlike foul. 65 offense, 99 defense. The down counts.
Charles Johnson of the Packers and Henry Shepard of the Browns, the left guard on offense, called for unsportsmanlike conduct. That's the 2nd time in the ball game that we've had that kind of offsetting, unsportsmanlike calls. The down will count, and it'll be 2nd and 10 as you look at the Green Bay defense with Charles Johnson, number 99, the nose tackle, and he's going to come out. Calvin Hill also is out for the Browns, and Charles White comes back in, and McDonald Oden, number 84, is the new tight end as Newsome gets a breather. 2nd and 10 at the 20 for the Browns. 3:02 to go first half. 3-0 Cleveland over the Packers. Sipe has time. Going to the corner. Touchdown. It's a touchdown. Reggie Rucker. Reggie Rucker has caught the touchdown pass, his 2nd of the season, and the Browns have moved up 9-0.
Well, Reggie,
and another penalty down at the line of scrimmage, so hold the phone. And it apparently is against the Browns. You see that it is, and a big TD is nullified, Paul.
63 offense on a hold.
The guilty party is Cody Rison, who played so well against Jacob Green and the Seattle Seahawks last week, holding.
well, those things happen, and Cody Rison certainly feels very bad about it, but that's the kind of situation in which you cannot have an infraction occur when you're going for the 6-pointer. As an old coach that I formerly played with, A few years back, Blanton Collier said you never know when the big play is going to occur.
That could be a big play. It's 2nd and 20 now at the 30-yard line. The Browns thought they had a touchdown. He dumps it off to Mike Pruitt. Penalty marker down. Pruitt on his feet inside the 20 to the 16-yard line, but a penalty marker is down. And this game is rough indeed, and the officials, it's a holding call against Cleveland. So now the Browns figured they had the touchdown, may come away with no points, Paul, because they're out of field goal range now.
Well, they're out of field goal range, and they're just a long ways away from picking up the first down. The penalties and the infractions will just kill you. That's something that Sam Rutigliano talked about last week. We'll continue that point.
Holding, 73 offense, still 2nd down.
Well, Doug Deacon was holding this time. It is still 2nd down and 30 now, and the ball back at the 40-yard line. And Greg Pruitt checks in for the Clevelanders. There have been penalties on 4 of the last 5 plays. And they've really burned the Browns with those calls. Sipe trying to get some of the real estate back, and he has Mike Pruitt, who's hit, gets away from a defender, and is down at the 30-yard line. Well, they picked up 10 quickly there.
I'd like to pick up the point in which I was talking about penalties. Penalties just kill an offensive team's effort to move the ball downfield. Sam Rutigliano said one of the reasons why Cleveland played so well against Seattle last week is they kept their number of infractions down to 4 for the ball game. And we've seen 3 right here on this drive.
2 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the first half. The Browns have the ball at the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 20. And this is an important play for Green Bay's defense, because if they can get away with no points on the board, that could help them in the locker room at halftime. And don't forget, they'll still have a shot on offense. Greg Pruitt and Mike Pruitt, the setbacks. Sipe will try to go to the air. He lofts it over the middle of Rucker, and Rucker has it at the goal line. Reggie Rucker, despite Estes Hood and Johnny Gray defending, turned around to make a brilliant catch and a 1st and goal for the Browns.
Well, Reggie Rucker's been the guy that they've called upon time and time again, who makes the big catch. That time, he made it, took it all the way down to about the 1-yard line. He's done that thing for the last several years here in Cleveland.
Well, that's how far the Browns have to go to add to their 3-0 lead, and they're going with the 2 tight end alignment of Newsome and McDonald-Oden right now. 1st and goal at the 1. A big clutch play, Paul.
Well, it's a big play, and as I said, Reggie Rucker has been known for making those kind of plays, but it's also the kind of play that sort of destroys the morale of a defensive team when you have an offensive team backed up after penalties, and all you have to do is just limit them to short yardage, and now they're knocking on the door for a touchdown here. Let's see what happens.
Well, we've had our 2-minute warning, and they now move up tight on the line with 2 tight ends. Charles White and Mike Pruitt, and White goes in motion. Goal line play. Pruitt is in for the touchdown. Mike Pruitt has scored his 3rd touchdown of the season, and the Browns lead it 9-0. It took some work, but I'll tell you one thing, the Packers could have gone in that locker room sky high after the developments following the penalties. Instead, the Browns are sailing with a 9-0 lead on Pruitt's score.
All right, here's a ground level shot. Brian Sipe barking out the signals, and he gives it to the big man, who just plows straight ahead and rams it right across the end zone stripe into the end zone for the touchdown.
Don Cockcroft will attempt the point after. He's been successful 13 of 15 times. Kick is good, and the Browns lead it 10-0. But with 1 minute and 57 seconds remaining in the first half, Paul, I would have to say, following that 62-yard 12-play drive by the Browns, that the Packers can kind of right things if they can get on the board before the end of this half. They have 1 minute and 57 to go. If they can have decent field position following a kickoff, and Dickey can get them on the board, they'll be in pretty good shape going into the second half.
That'll really change the perspective of this ball game if Dickey can move his club all the way downfield and put some points on the board. Right now, the Browns have a 10-0 lead. That's by no means a great lead in professional football, but it would be a lot closer if Dickey could put 7 or 3 points on the board. So it's going to be interesting to see how he moves his club down the field. Of course, the Browns can't have a letdown in a situation, and most clubs in the National Football League move well in 2 minutes.
You know, on paper, Paul, the Browns are the stronger club coming in this game, but, you know, the Packers have played them very tough so far. A couple of breaks have gone against them. They haven't been able to move the ball. The field position has been bad, but the Packers are definitely a respectable club out here.
Well, the Browns defensive coordinator Marty Schottenheimer, who formerly worked for the Detroit Lions last year, said that this is a tough ball club, and they've proven to be that exactly here today. They haven't given up a thing, and they're playing against one of the better offensive clubs in Cleveland in the AFC. And Bart Starr, who we just saw there on the monitor, has to be very proud of his group, and he's been very proud of the way that they've performed in the last 3 weeks.
Cockcroft will kick off. 1:57 remaining. The Packers have 2 timeouts remaining. They used one of theirs just before the 2-minute warning. And now they're going to line up on one side. And Cockcroft is indicating a possible onside, and he kicks a high end over end to Mark Lee, who has a running start at the 15. Lee up the middle, puts his head down, and gets to the 27-yard line. And let's see what Green Bay can do from there. They haven't had any kind of field position thus far today. Clifton Odom makes the stop. So Dickey comes out, 1:55 remaining in the first half, 10-0 the score. So while Green Bay has improved defensively as far as giving up points are concerned, they've really had gained a lot of yardage the last 2 weeks, but they haven't scored that much. 14 in each game. Turdell Middleton 34, Jerry Ellis 31 of the setbacks. 4 down linemen for the Browns as Elvis Franks comes in. Dickey dumps it off to Turdell Middleton. Middleton had a blocker, lost it, and he's piled up at the 31. Looked like Leotis Harris was out there, but the Browns played it extremely well. Clock continues to move.
Good pursuit to the football. Right now, Green Bay is utilizing 3 wide receivers, and so Dickey wants to put the ball up in the air and get it downfield. Undra
Thompson, James Lofton, and Ron Cassidy are the 3 wide men. 2nd and 6 over the middle to Turdell Middleton, but he's hit immediately, and Robert L. Jackson, number 56, made a key play there. Clock continues with 1:15 to go. The Packers 2 timeouts remaining, trailing 10-0 as you see the time. Dickey has to go downfield. Middleton again at the 40. And he's down at the 43-yard line, and under a minute to go, and now the Packers will use one of their remaining 2 timeouts. Clay Matthews defending along with Ambrose, and now Dickey will confer with Bart Starr. So Green Bay's strategy obviously was pick up some short yardage quickly, and with about a minute to go, get close to midfield, but they're still about 8 yards away from that.
Well, I think he's going to have to change his strategy, and Dickey might be talking that over with coaches Bart Starr, head coach, and assistant coach Zeke Bratkowski right there. He's going to have to change his strategy, and I think throw a little bit deeper in towards the sidelines if he wants to get into field goal position or to put 6 points on the scoreboard.
And of course, you wonder why quarterbacks don't quickly go downfield for the big chunk of yardage first and then try to nibble away instead of nibbling early.
Well, there are a lot of people that are hanging back in the secondary. The linebackers are taking real good drops, but he's going to have to gamble a little bit. But the safest place to throw the football in this situation is towards the sidelines. Make sure that if you got to throw it towards the sidelines so the defender can't get it, and if you can, throw it out of bounds.
Lynn Dickey, who completed 14 passes in a row in one stretch last week against Tampa Bay, has talked things over with Bratkowski and Starr. 59 seconds remaining in the first half. 1st and 10 Green Bay on their own 43, and they have 1 timeout to go. He needs protection. He has it up the middle again, and it is intercepted. Middleton had it and lost it to Charlie Hall, and the Cleveland Browns have intercepted the pass to end that threat. And for Charlie Hall, his first interception of the season, the veteran, solid, dependable outside linebacker. In the strategy, they still went to the back.
Well, they're still trying to go underneath the coverage, and when you throw it in there, and if there's going to be juggled, that's a danger area. Charlie Hall and both Robert L. Jackson was right there. Middleton tipped the ball up in the air. Charlie Hall ball came down with it. Now the Browns have it. 53 seconds left, and they could put some more points on the board.
That's right. They're in Green Bay territory at the 47. And I guess the Packers wanted the short pass to the backs and hoped they'd get loose and run for about 10 more. Greg Pruitt and Mike Pruitt the setbacks, and now the Browns have a shot. And they have all of their timeouts remaining. 53 seconds to go in the half. Sipe, and he's going for Mike Pruitt. And Pruitt has it down the middle inside the 5. Greg Pruitt with the reception. That's Greg Pruitt with the reception. And Brian Sipe with a big pass play, and Cleveland can see another touchdown in the offing right here.
Well, that's a big play for Greg Pruitt, who hadn't played very much during this season. And the little guy that time showed that he still has some speed. Nice catch over the shoulders.
49-yard pass play. And a timeout with 40 seconds to go. And the two tight end alignment in there for the Browns. Calvin Hill goes in as well, and here is it right up the middle. He was open. He found the seam, as they say.
Greg Pruitt went right down the seam. You'll see him in the screen right there. There he is, wide open, catch over the shoulders, running well. Up to this point, Pruitt has not really run well during the course of the season, has been hobbled by that knee injury, but he's starting to come back.
Well, they thought that he might be able to be ready last week, but the game was played on the artificial surface in Seattle. They didn't want to take any chances with that, and so they wisely let him stay out another week and play on the softer grass here in Cleveland. But Greg Pruitt comes back impressively here. This is his first fifth pass reception of the season. A big one for the Browns, who have first and goal at the 4-yard line, and they are leading 10-0. Cockroft with a 41-yard field goal early in the second quarter, and Mike over from the yard with just under 2 minutes remaining. Calvin Hill, the deep back, Mike Pruitt, and now they move into the split back formation. Two tight ends. Play action, and Sipe going and throws it away. He had no one open. He wanted to go to Calvin Hill, who was covered, and he wisely threw it out of the end zone.
Well, he had Calvin Hill going deep into the flat, but Calvin Hill was covered very nicely by Estes Hood going into that corner. So Sipe, as you said, Dick, wisely took a look, saw what the situation was, decided to throw the ball away rather than have an interception.
Brian now is 10 for 20 for 155 yards. Second down and goal at the 4. Rucker and Logan in at wide receiver, so the second tight end comes out for Cleveland. Sipe passing, and no flag. It was intended for Newsome, but he fell down on his own accord. John Anderson was covering, so the Packers have defensed the Browns perfectly on 2 goal line plays, and now it is 3rd and goal at the 4, and the time shows 29 seconds. The Browns with 2 timeouts to go, and they'll go back with the dual tight end again.
Well, Sipe wanted a little more time. He was flushed out of the pocket on that last passing play. Had to throw it hurriedly to Ozzie Newsome, who was breaking to his right flat. Ozzie had to try to adjust to the ball that was thrown more to the center. Couldn't quite make the adjustment under the circumstances.
Bootleg plays have been popular in situations like this with some clubs. Sipe has time, and wide open is Ozzie Newsome, and he doesn't make it to the goal line. Ozzie Newsome is tripped up, and a brilliant play, I think, by Mike Douglas, and it'll be 4th and goal at the 1. Mike Douglas saved a touchdown.
Well, that was really a big play by Mike Douglas for Green Bay. Sipe did a good job play action faking the pass. Here it is, a ground level shot. Here's Brian faking it. There's a cornerback, number 29, McCord, coming in, pressuring Brian. He throws a Newsome out in the flats. There's number 53, Mike Douglas, who comes solo, makes the tackle on Ozzie Newsome, stops him just shy of the goal line. The ball is about on the 1.
He has been the Packers' best linebacker this year. He had something like 10 unassisted tackles last week against Tampa Bay. He is a 5th-round draft choice in his 3rd year from San Diego State, and he saved a touchdown. You're looking at number 53, Mike Douglas, stepped into a starting spot when John Anderson broke his arm last year and is apparently in for good in that 3-4. So the important numbers to know: 14 seconds to play. The Browns, having called a timeout, have 1 remaining, but really it's 4th and goal at the 1, and it's all right here.
Well, this could mean the difference in a lot of points, and Sam Rutigliano has apparently elected to allow the offense to go on and try to get the touchdown. That shows that the coach has his confidence in his offensive unit. Browns could go up perhaps by